A las 4:25 de la tarde de hoy, 5 de marzo, ha fallecido el comandante presidente Hugo Chávez Frías.
Yesterday, ladies
Desde
and
esta misma
gentlemen,
tribuna,
from this rostrum,
el señor presidente de los
the
Estados Unidos, a quien yo
President
llamo
of the
el Diablo,
United States, the gentleman to whom I refer as the devil,
vino aquí.
came here. The devil is right
El
at
diablo,
home.
el propio diablo está en
the devil
casa.
himself is right in the
Ayer
house.
vino el diablo aquí.
Charles, your thoughts, reaction, what it means?
Well, I hate to be ungracious, but I will be. He was a thug. He tried to dismantle democracy in his country, almost succeeded, and I think his country and the world will be improved by his passing. The only problem is that the man he appointed as successor very recently, just when he went to the last treatment in Cuba, is himself a hardcore communist and very pro-Cuba. There are some in Chavez's party who are socialists, but who are not these hardline anti-American communists. For the one country that will suffer immediately is Cuba, because it and other countries in Latin America had been dependent on Chavez for concessions. For example, tons of oil at very low prices as a way to sustain their economies. And in the long run, they will be cut off. They're going to have to live on their own. The problem is that Chavez's successor, who is likely to win, given there might be a sympathy vote for the party with the death of Chavez, he's as hardline as Chavez is. The only upside is it's hard to maintain a revolution without the charismatic leader like Chavez himself. And without him, although they may succeed in holding on in this election, it's unlikely that his movement will not dissolve, because in the end it's unsustainable, and it is quite a cruel system that he initiated in his country.
We have a huge and seething group of people just south of us whose organizing principle is hating us. That's not good.
But in the end, I think it's unsustainable. The only reason he could sustain it is because he's sitting on oil. He spread the ideology to Bolivia, Ecuador, and sustains the Sandinista in Nicaragua. But in the end, those are basket cases, and with socialism, their system and the socialism is not going to make it. It was Margaret Thatcher who said in the end, socialism doesn't work because the socialists run out of other people's money. And there isn't a lot of it in Bolivia and Ecuador and Nicaragua to start with. So he sustained them. The question, I'm not sure it's a movement, but ideologically he was important, because at the end of the 80s, when the whole world abandoned communism as an obsolete, ridiculous idea, it was Chavez who revived it in Latin America. He's the one who gave it sort of a stature. But if you take away Chavez, it could be that it will die in time. The concern I have is that in the very next election, whereas the opposition did rather well against Chavez in the last election last year, because of the way that the party controls the press and has these shock troops out there who intimidate people, it'll probably hang on to power at least for a few years.
Why have we not heard from any of the Benghazi survivors?
Well, I can't tell you the answer to that. I can tell you that I have visited with one of the survivors at Bethesda Hospital, who is a remarkably courageous person who is doing very, very well.
Will we hear from them?
I don't know what the circumstances are of any request to talk to him or not.
What I think they imagine is that people won't care, meaning the mainstream media won't care, the story will be cold. They think they scored a great coup on the day that Secretary Clinton was on the Hill, and the Republicans did not exactly distinguish themselves in their questioning, and that it was over then. And I think for much of the media, it is over. So I think they're counting on incuriosity on the part of the press, as they did at the beginning. They wanted to drag it out until Election Day, succeeded, and now they're going to drag it out. There'll be other crises, so when it comes out, I think the calculation of the administration is it won't matter then. I think it might. It depends on what happens. The only explanation for all of the secrecy here is that it is likely that a large number of these are CIA undercover. You don't want them out there, and you have to protect secrets and identities. I understand that. But it's likely that there are at least a few who are not, and hiding their identities, I think, is absurd.
But you had the drone issue, Benghazi issue, also documents about the bin Laden compound that we're finding out about now.
I don't think in the end it'll stop him ending up as head of CIA. I think it was an opportunity to have a debate on the drone issue, to have a debate on some of these other issues. But in the end, I don't think he was culpable enough in any way that even Republicans would deny him the position.
This has been a Sunfish production.